Good evening, indie community. Welcome to Splam. This is either the fourth or fifth episode. You'll find out. It's in the title. Splam. That is self-publishing like a motherfucker. The not at all safe for work podcast where we interview fellow self-published authors and pick their brains for the secrets to their success. With me this evening is my co-host, Claire Taylor.
Howdy.
Hi. And from the Authors and Dragons rotating crew of co-hosts, tonight we have Rick Gualtieri and Steve Wetherill.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Co-host. Sounds exotic.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say with your intro there, we self-publish like motherfuckers. We don't count like motherfuckers.
You guys got any news? I'll start by saying I do not. Got nothing going on right now.
I'm kind of in the same boat, although you guys will be very proud of me because I played my first game of D&D the other night.
Oh, I am proud of you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It was really fun. As I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but...
Fucking nerd.
This is your life now. There's no turning back.
So what were you? What was your class and race?
I was a wizard elf. I was kind of a dick. It was just, I was lawful good, which wasn't very fun.
That's like probably the most fun alignment to be a dick.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
The cops kept showing up, and I was like, I'll handle this, guys.
All right, so we know Claire's going to be available for whenever we start to do guest spots on A&D.
Give me a few more games.
Yep, you've pretty much just agreed to that by admitting you play D&D. That's how it works.
Yes, you admitted you play D&D, and you haven't blocked all of us. So
no, it was fun. I accidentally struck my husband with a firebolt, and he hasn't let me live it down.
Lawful good, my ass.
You said accidentally.
Hey, the divorce rules of Galarian might be different than our world, so that might be lawful.
Rick, Steve, you guys got anything going on?
I'm writing my head off, but we just me and my co-author Ari Carr, we just showed the world the cover for Second String Savior. That is a story that takes place in the Tome of Bill expanded universe, and that should be coming out in May.
I was going to say it sounds a lot like Jessica Christ.
Yeah, I haven't got much going on at the moment. I'm here once again representing the perspective of the part-time self-published author. Very much the schnaff in this Thundercat setup.
All right, well, that was riveting. Let's get to our guest. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have John F. Merz. Hi, John.
Hey, thanks for pronouncing the last name correctly.
Did I? Sweet.
Absolutely.
How is it often mispronounced?
Like Hertz Rent-A-Car.
I'm glad then Bob did it, because otherwise I would have fucked that up.
It's usually that, or it's like, oh, it's like Fred and Ethel. It's like, come on.
So John, I know you're probably what I would call one of the pioneers of self-publishing, because I know you had your shit together back when I was still trying to figure out if the period went inside or outside of the quotation marks.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into this crazy world.
Well, let's see. I always tell people if they're thinking about becoming a writer, they definitely should, because if I can do it, literally anybody can do it. I grew up a lifelong reader. I always loved getting an armful of books from the library and going and sitting in a park and just trying to tear through them as much as possible. But my life plan sort of took me into the military, and I did some government stuff and got out of that and was doing protection work for snooty mutual fund managers for a while. And I had some downtime during that work, and I thought, we've always thought about becoming a writer. Why don't we try it? And that was around 1996.
Wow.
And published my first short story that year. and wrote another short story that was sort of like the old Reese's Peanut Butter Cup commercial. You got your horror on my thriller fiction sort of thing. And some people read it. Francis Ford Coppola used to have a writer's critique site called Zoetrope. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and I'm really dating myself here, but
it's pronounced Merz.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Don't screw it up, kids. Come on. But yeah, so some people read that and said, you should really turn this into a novel. So I took about 1.5 years to do that and got a traditional publishing contract in 2001. The first 2 books came out in 2002, and the series was set up at Kensington Pinnacle in New York. And after the 4th book came out, they just unceremoniously dumped me, which really pissed me off, understandably so. Just as the series was sort of starting to find its legs, and I wrote to the publisher and I said, well, if you're not going to publish anymore, I'm going to take the rights back and bring it out myself. And we went back and forth a couple of times, and they eventually relented. And then I got the rights back shortly after Amazon started the whole ebook craze.
Excellent timing.
It was pretty good timing, yeah. And so I was sort of right there when the real salad days of ebook sales were going on. But then, as everything changes with Amazon, every time they tweak an algorithm, it's been a constant sort of ride the wave, get swallowed by the wave, desperately claw your way back to the surface of the ocean and try to ride a new wave. So I, despite the longevity in the writing game, I still consider myself just a complete newbie when it comes to self-publishing, because I'm constantly trying to learn new stuff, constantly trying to tweak established procedures and stuff like that. So I'm just a sponge with this stuff. So I'm grateful to be on and talking to you folks, and hopefully I have my notepad right next to me. I'm going to be taking notes as we talk.
I do have to admit a little bit of disappointment, because you mentioned military and then doing protection work, and I thought you were going to get to that Kensington story and be like, and by the 4th book they disappointed me, so I just killed the fuck out of them.
Well, so strange subplot to that whole thing. My editor at that publishing house found out that I study traditional Japanese martial art, the authentic ninjutsu, so the ninja stuff.
Did he find out the hard way?
He was going to, but he asked me one time, he said, we've got this guy on our author roster called Ashita Kim, and he's kind of insane. Do you know him? And I don't know if you guys, I don't know how old you are, but if you ever picked up a ninja book in the 1980s, chances are it was an Ashita Kim ninja book, and he's anything but authentic. So I said, oh yeah, we call that guy Ashita Plywood, because he's just not a real ninja at all. Never been anywhere near the authentic stuff. So he said, yeah, we were a little late with one of his royalty checks, and he threatened to come to the office and literally kill everybody. So
Wow.
We got to get this guy on the show now.
Yeah, I had a question. You said they dumped you, and you told your publisher, yeah, well, I'm just going to take my rights back. From what I've heard before, the normal response to that is, haha, go fuck yourself. No, you're not.
Yeah.
But so, did you threaten them?
I didn't threaten them. The publisher came back and said, yeah, we're not going to do that. Excuse me. And so I was developing a fan base at that point, so I kind of sicked the fan base on them.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
It got so bad that the publisher actually contacted me and said, could you tell your fans to stop sending letters? And letters. That'll tell you about how long ago this was.
I like to think the letters came attached to a knife.
Right? Or a throwing star, as the case may be. So.
Yeah, the publisher woke up every morning. There's a horse head in his bed. He's like, God damn, not another.
This letter was written on the back of a picture of my kids.
But yeah, so he basically said if you could stop having your fans send us so many letters, that would be great. So that was kind of cool. I mean, it made me feel good about the fans, and then I got the rights back. So we came to an amicable agreement. But yeah, I was pretty pissed off with them for a while. So
yeah, that seems to be the story that I've heard from a lot of people, is they won't give you the rights back unless you're a real pain in the ass.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the problem with traditional publishing is is that they're just so stuck in the dark ages. I mean, my God, they for the longest time after I got a traditional publishing contract, email was considered like, oh my God, we don't do that. I mean, God, what's a computer? I mean, people still in the office banging away on typewriters. It's unbelievable. You would think that something in industry that's sort of charged, on some level with educating the masses by publishing books would embrace technology as a delivery vehicle, and it's you have to drag them kicking and screaming into the 21st century. It was crazy.
Well, it's kind of indie authors' benefit that they don't embrace.
Absolutely, take advantage of your enemy's weakness.
Going back to '96, where did you get that first short published?
That was in Rictus magazine, and it was a story called I the Courier.
Cool.
I still have the $5 check. It is hanging in my office.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just sort of a little. There's an empty space above it as inspiration to keep climbing. So yeah,
I say that's some Scrooge McDuck shit right there.
No, I went out that night and got a Peking duck because my wife and I went out and celebrated. So yeah, no.
Early in my author career, I would have totally needed that $5.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle at that point because we were living next to a crack house, and yeah, it was but I just wanted it. It was like the dollar bill that you see in some of the mom and pop pizza places, So.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
So I know your longest running work is the Lawson series,
right?
And I know I've seen this all over Amazon. Tell us a little bit about it. What's the background behind it? What's it about?
Sure. Book list probably summed it up the best. It's like Jason Bourne with fangs. It is a vampire series, but I kind of call it the vampire series. The vampires in my world aren't undead. They're sort of an evolutionary offshoot of humanity that way back when you had other cavemen types, Neanderthals, who would drink the blood of animals they had slain, thinking it would give them the animals' powers. This sort of sub-branch of humanity did that with humans, believing it would give them their fallen foes' powers, and over time that actually did end up changing them on a physiological basis, and sort of they live longer, they have slightly better strength, and but otherwise they're exactly like humans. So Lawson works as a fixer, and it's his job to preserve the secret existence of the race of living vampires by any means necessary. He's sort of part spy, part commando, and it's more like a secret society sort of thing than it is sort of a paranormal vampire romance type series. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the fact that he's going around like just icing anybody who's who knows about this, in my mind at least, probably precludes the whole paranormal romance.
Yeah. Although his girlfriend she's pretty badass. So she's a former KGB assassin who works as a freelance hitter now. But Lawson's a complicated character because it's foreboding to fall in love with a human, but Talia, his girlfriend, is a human, so he's sort of upholding the very laws while simultaneously breaking them. So it leads to some interesting moral dilemmas, but he's got enough of a moral flexibility to him that he gets away with it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at your Wikipedia page here. It looks like it was written by a disgruntled fan. But
oh, does it?
It's just like, we're still waiting on more of these Lawson books, and he hasn't updated his website in a while, and blah, blah, blah. His blog, right? Merz's blog has not been updated since 2016, and a Lawson vampire book has not been published since 2015.
That's not true either.
Well,
yeah, you got some angry motherfucker. You gotta put the set place there.
My goodness, no! I've got 35 adventures in the Lawson vampire series, as a matter of fact. Interesting. I wonder who edited this. I've been after somebody to edit it because it's missing a ton of stuff in my bibliography and stuff like that. But
well, that's strange because it says as of 2019.
Huh. Yeah, well.
Yeah. Which just goes to show you, believe in everything you read on the internet. Probably not the smartest thing you can do.
But using Wikipedia as a research tool, probably not the best.
Okay, let's switch gears to one of your other series here, because Steve, you had mentioned this before in the chat, and I was looking it up, and I was like, this looks badass.
Zombie Ryu, yeah.
Exactly.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Zombie Ryu.
Oh, Zombie Ryu, yeah. Yeah. I need to get back to that as well. That is sort of feudal Japan zombie invasion sort of thing, told from the perspective of a teenage girl who is developing sort of a power known as, in Japanese, it's known as Kiai-Jitsu, which is sort of the power of the voice as a weapon. So if you've ever heard somebody do a karate chop, yell, hi-ya sort of thing, it's along those lines. There's a lot more to it than that. But yeah, the first 2 installments are out, and 2019 I'm supposed to be bringing out a 3rd installment. So each installment runs about 20,000 words. So they're fairly quick, but it's a lot of fun. So, yeah.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Taking down zombies with magical kung fu techniques, that is exactly in my wheelhouse of fun.
Yeah. I want to see that movie, right now.
Yeah, that'd be pretty badass. I'd love that. I always tell people, if they're looking for the great American novel, look someplace else, because I am definitely not that. But hopefully, I say my stuff is hopefully like an amusement park ride. Buy a ticket, jump on, have a great time, come back and see us again soon, sort of thing. So,
You've come to the right podcast.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I was worried. There was a pause there. I wasn't sure. Oh,
I think we were all questioning the quality of our own books at that point. Like,
I'm still envisioning a feudal Japanese teenager death metal screaming at a horde of zombies. So I think I'm going to have to check that out. That sounds.
It's fun. Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, it either needs to be a movie or it needs to be an anime.
Yeah,
anime would work. I'd love that. That's kind of why I did I'm going to redo the covers on it, but that's why the covers are sort of an animated feel to them, because I thought it'd be a badass anime.
What does your writing schedule generally look like? Do you write every day, or are you one of those people who doesn't have to, who sits down when they have the time?
No, I usually write every day. The last month and a half to 2 months, I've been working almost exclusively on some screenplays. So I've branched out into that. I formed a production company called Pound Cake with 2 other really cool dudes. And we're in the process right now of packaging some stuff up to hopefully approach Netflix and pitch them on. So I've been going pretty gangbusters. We've got I wrote a drama screenplay and also a horror screenplay. So
are these adaptations of your novels and stuff, or
no? These are actually different projects entirely.
Because here on your faulty Wikipedia page, it says your production company is called New Ronin Entertainment.
Yep, that's still in effect, and we are still developing the Lawson series around my Lawson Vampire books. But that's been slow going. So we're sort of diverting some of the attention away from that to try some other stuff.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah. It's been a learning process like anything else. But things are changing in the entertainment world just sort of like they do in the publishing world as well. So it's a good time to be a writer.
I actually think that's super cool, because basically you're going out there and you're like approaching these guys yourself. Because I think a lot of writers, myself included, are more the type to be like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to wait for them to call. I just sit there and watch the phone not ring.
Well, it was funny. So when the first couple of books in the Lawson series came out, I was approached by Hollywood to option them, and I had a friend at the time who was working for Howard Stern's production company down in New York, and he said, all right, before you sell, I want you to read a book. And it was called The Big Picture, Money and Power in Hollywood by, I believe, Edward J. Epstein. And he said, read that book first before you sign or agree to anything, and then come back and talk to me. And so I read the book, and it was very eye-opening about how much production houses make based on the ideas of writers, and how Hollywood accounting is basically, like trying to get the CIA, I mean, they hide money everywhere. No movie ever makes a profit, this sort of thing. Now, granted, that this was before, the current change with Netflix and so forth and so on. But I read the book, and then I actually decided not to option the rights to my stuff, because I felt it was worth a whole lot more than what they were offering. So, just an interesting book. I don't know if it's still available, but if it is, it's definitely worth a read for the historical perspective that it offers on Hollywood as a business model.
Yeah, I know. Probably at the end of this month, next month, we're going to hear that Avengers Endgame, even though it made $17 billion at the box office, was written off by Disney as a financial loss.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I always tell the Forrest Gump story where, Forrest Gump made tons and tons of money, but because the writer, his agent, settled for net points instead of gross, he's barely ever seen a dime. I don't think he has seen a dime, and it's sort of like,
it's depressing.
It is depressing. It's so important to be educated, and as much as you can be. I mean, there are so many gatekeepers and loopholes and stuff like that.
Yeah, the one and only time I went through the whole optioning process, we got stuck on so many things, but one of them was like, oh well, you'll make net, and I was like, dude, I know this bullshit. I want
that's total bullshit.
I'm like, I'll take a smaller percentage of gross. They're like, well, they won't do that. I'm like, well, this probably isn't going to happen then, And then they tried to be like, well, what if we do this, but it's still net? I was like, okay, well then why don't you explain to me how the accounting will work? Well, we'll figure out the accounting later. I was like, dude, this is not how it fucking works.
It doesn't fucking work like that at all. Hey, and they tried that same. So I bizarrely enough fell into acting about 3 or 4 years ago when I was one of the women at the gym that I was going to at the time. Her friend was a stylist, and they needed a fit guy in his 40s for a photo shoot, and one thing led to another. So I ended up getting into, I was in a miniseries on the History Channel called The Cars That Made America. I played the head of GM, Alfred Sloan. But I was approached to be in this indie sci-fi film, and I thought, that's great. What's the compensation package look like? And they tried to push the net thing there too, and I went, no, I'll take a less of a percentage, but I want gross. And the director was like, well, fuck it, we're not gonna hire you then. I'm like, well, dude, scam somebody else. I'm not settling for net and anything.
That's the problem with Hollywood. Is it's kind of like whatchamacallit, like Huffington Post was able to get away with not paying anybody for so long, is because for every one person who's like I'm not falling for that crap, there's 10 who are just like, I'll starve for exposure.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. And here's the thing. So they replaced me. I was cast in the role, and then they kicked me out of the role, and I reached out to the actor who replaced me, and I said, I just want to let you know, this is what your compensation package, and the compensation package was $150, and 10% net. And I'm like, this guy's never going to make a dime on this movie, and if he is, you sure as shit are not going to see a penny of it. So, and of course, the actor never thanked me, never got back to me. And I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to sabotage you or anything. I just want you to know that this is what to expect from this director, that he's going to try.
$150, isn't that a fifth of SAG hourly rate?
Oh yeah, this was not a SAG project. No way in hell. Absolutely not. Yeah, so I mean, it's funny because there are so many parallels between the acting world and the publishing world in terms of of stuff like that. You've got the scam artists, the vanity publishing houses in publishing, and then you've got the scam producers and scam directors trying to make a buck off of starving actors and desperate folks like that. It's everywhere. It's appalling, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I know the big thing with writers these days is not only to just screw them out of as much money as possible, but also kind of do a rights grab. So essentially kind of not only undercutting them in price, but making it so that you pretty much own their IP.
Exactly. Well, that brings up an interesting story. So when I got my first contract, I went to a reading and a signing with Robert Parker of Spencer fame, and somebody asked him in the audience about Hollywood, and he told a story, and he said, so Spencer for Hire was a big detective show in the 80s, and he said they wanted to do a spin-off with his sidekick Hawk and give give Hawk his own show. And he said, I didn't want to do that. And they basically said, well, screw you, we're going to do it anyway. And he said, no, screw you, because I didn't sell the character rights to you motherfuckers, so you can't do shit. So that sort of stuck with me as well.
But wait. They did do a spinoff called Hawk.
Eventually, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Again, I'm dating myself. But yeah, it was, it's amazing how much they just try to screw you. So I've always tried to, surround myself with people that know more about this stuff than I do, so I can bounce stuff off of them and make sure it's on the up and up and legit, because God, there are so many pitfalls. It's crazy.
That's quite enlightening, because at the beginning of this conversation, when you were talking about developing your own stuff and your own production company, I was thinking, oh, that's quite brave, that's quite ballsy. But now at the end of this conversation, I'm thinking, no, that's just incredibly sensible.
Yeah, honestly, I wish more people would do it. I mean, look at what's going on right now with the Writers Guild and the talent agencies out in Hollywood, where the Writers Guild is basically taking the ATA to task because they've been screwed out of so many millions of dollars. And these are professional screenwriters that are getting screwed left and right by the agents that are basically packaging the idea and then simultaneously selling it. So they're pocketing money on both ends of the deal. It's insane.
Yeah, we were sharing around that article.
Yeah, so I mean, so you've got professionals that are still getting duped by this stuff. It's, RICO charges forthcoming. I don't know.
I was reading that. I was like, that is really fucking ballsy to be like, I represent you, but I also represent the other side.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Well, yeah, exactly. When these guys are enjoying their vacation homes and the writers are still, down at the soup kitchen trying to get a meal. It's crazy.
Crazy thing is that I think the author of that article, the guy who did like Homicide, Life on the Streets, and The Wire, is basically still has one of those guys as his agent, because and it's like it just like shows you what just a corrupted, inbred thing it is, that even though you were getting screwed, you still have no choice but to really play the game.
Yeah, you still need the person. I mean, it's so frustrating. It really is.
Yeah, it seems like there's kind of a new consciousness among writers, though, that within the past decade, that we are entitled to compensation. That seems like a relatively new idea.
I totally agree with that. I think that's one of the things that is missed out upon by a lot of people who look at self-publishing with still that sort of stigmatized eye. The fact that writers have sort of taken control of things to the point where we're fully in control. We know what we want in cover art. We know who we want editing. We know what we're going to do for marketing. I think it's incredibly empowering, and I think it's a great thing, all around, for writers to be more conscious of the value that we bring to the entire entertainment industry. I just think it's sort of an undersung part of this whole self-publishing movement, where people tend to feel, well, look at the crappy cover on this book. Yeah, okay, yes, it's crappy, but, by the same token, we're all sort of banding together as individuals and saying, we can do this. And I think that's really cool.
Sometimes I don't think people are even aware of how voraciously they consume content and what a tremendous appetite there by necessity has to be. And it's kind of, there's still a lot of attitude out there that people who produce content think that they're kind of, somebody's interested in my idea. Like they're the last ugly chick at the nightclub or something, or ugly man. I'm not sexist, but
your goggles work both ways, right?
Yeah. It's like, no, they need ideas, they need material.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about what sort of a world we'd be living in if we didn't have the escape that entertainment provides. Whether it's written, audio, visual, what have you. I mean, it's oh God, I don't want to live in that world.
And at the same time, look at how voracious it is, just for the same idea over and over again. Even
Oh my God, I was just reading about another zombie deal, and it's like, oh God, more zombies. But then I have Zombie Roo, so I mean, I can't judge too harshly because I'm doing the same damn thing. So yeah, I mean, I started Zombie Roo a couple of years ago just because I thought it would be kind of an interesting take, with feudal Japan and stuff like that. And as I wrote it, I got to really enjoy it. But there's a lot of zombie stuff out there. I'd like to see something. Some new stuff coming out, but that's the benefit of the self-publishing thing, is that we're empowering a lot more voices than would otherwise be empowered if the traditional gatekeepers were still in place.
Yeah.
The downside, though, is that the second that you said it'd be cool, like say, I don't know, Gilman horror came out and was big. The downside of, I guess, or upside of, I guess, if you're a reader, but the downside from a publishing standpoint is that you hit it big there, and word gets out that is like a hot thing, and it will be swarmed within a week.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. And then merman porn will be probably the next big thing. I don't know.
Hey, hands off. That's mine.
Yeah. Well, and to that point of devaluing work, I've started to see that trend in a lot of indies of sort of internalizing that thing of like, please just consume my work, and I shouldn't get paid. Seeing the box sets of like 10 books for 99 cents, and it's just this sort of race to the bottom. I feel like it's starting to sort of, socialization of indies has kind of trained some to think, oh, well, I'm just an indie. I don't deserve money for my time.
Yeah, but then there's the opposite. There's plenty of people, I think, who look and they kind of like, they kind of purposely go against that, and they say, no, my books are $6.99. They're above that $5 that normally would buy because they're worth it. And it doesn't work for everybody, but some people have been able to build up an audience, that way.
Guilty. I've actually experimented with that pricing model, going completely against. I raised my prices on ebooks to $7.99 for about 6 months, and it didn't work out that well for me. But I do know other people that it did work for. I've sort of settled at the $4.99 price range, which I think is a pretty fair price point given the amount of time that it takes a person to write a book, and then if you've got a paperback, which I only just started getting into recently because I was going to do it last year, and then CreateSpace got taken over by KDP paperbacks, and I better wait on this, and hopefully everything will get ironed out.
No, it didn't.
I know. I haven't had any bad luck yet, though, and I've got I'm looking at it right now. Seven installments of my Lawson series have come out in paperback. So yeah, I mean, they look good. I haven't had too many issues with it yet, so hopefully.
How about audio?
The first 4 are in audio. Tantor Media brought them out, and they have not sold well. So, just to be completely upfront and honest with you folks, I got a royalty statement the other day, and I literally went, really? So it's going to be a while to earn out the advance, and the advance wasn't even all that much. So there you go. I know people that are selling gangbusters on audiobooks, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say right now, I love Tantor. I've done a couple books with them. We've all done at least 2 with them, or at least Steve and Bob and I. But the one area where I think Tantor falls down, and there's like opportunity where that ACX allows is, and this would be awesome for your Lawson series, is if the individual books are kind of doing like so, box sets in audio.
Yeah,
have potential to be huge.
Okay, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah. Well, Tantor. So when we started talking, I had an audio book narrator that I wanted to do the series, and I made that very clear. And then they said, okay, great, we signed the contracts, everything went in, and then the guy that I wanted to be the narrator contacted me and said, do you know that the Fixer's coming out? It's already been recorded. And I went, wait, what? So that led to a bit of a dust-up with Tantor, and I had to insist that the guy I wanted be brought in on the second book and the third book and the fourth book. So, there's probably a disconnect between the first and the second. So,
see, normally when an author says like, oh, there was a bit of a dust-up, I imagine it being quite dull. but with the whole ninja training, I imagine it to be a lot more dynamic.
Do you know who the fuck I am?
I try, honestly, I try to do the Jedi mind trick stuff a lot more than the physical stuff because it's just way more interesting, and then people don't realize that they've been fucked over a little bit. So, the physical stuff it was always sort of like, well, if you weren't paying attention and weren't aware enough, now you need the physical stuff because you fucked up. So I always try to do the mental, spiritual hoodoo guru stuff ahead of time, so everybody leaves feeling happy.
I 100% agree, because you can hide from somebody looking to kick your ass, but if they know you can kill them with your mind, that's a whole different thing.
Also
absolutely.
much harder to prove in the court of law.
Yes, and that's very important these days.
In this age of snowflakes.
Why don't we move on to marketing? That's usually like the big thing that that's that one differentiates somebody who's here for the long term versus 90% of the rest of the industry, and also it's probably the one thing that the one piece of the puzzle, I think, that almost everyone we're going to talk to on this or have talked to on this podcast really can can add a bit of mystique to.
So I'll let you guys talk while I take notes. No, I'm marketing. Like I said at the start, it seems to just be this constantly changing monster where you try one thing for a while and it works. And then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and go to check your sales and they've just flatlined and you have no idea what the fuck happened. And it's so frustrating because I feel like I could literally spend 24 hours a day marketing and not get any writing done. And that's sort of the vicious double-edged sword of being, independently published, is that you have to figure this stuff out if you want to keep going.
Yeah.
So my big thing is consistency, and I am definitely guilty lately of not having been consistent because I've been doing the screenplay stuff. I mean, I was on a schedule about a year ago where I was bringing out something new every single month. And mostly in the Lawson series, which is why that Wikipedia entry pisses me off, because clearly has not been keeping up on Amazon. The times that I've let that get away from me, I notice in the sales. I think that's probably a holy grail type of thing is the consistency of a releasing schedule. And if you're not somebody that writes at a speed that allows that, then I would say, take 6 months to a year and just bank the projects and then release them on a sort of speedy schedule. That's the big thing that I need to get back to, speaking for myself. And otherwise, I use Twitter to a certain extent. I'm big on Instagram in terms of I'm bullish on Instagram is what I should say. I'm not like David Hasselhoff is big in Germany kind of thing. But between the two of them, I like Instagram better just because it's a visual type of thing, and you can set up book covers, especially as I bring the books out in paperback. It's definitely conducive to that. And I know a lot of people that are just taking gorgeous pictures of paperback books. So I actually have 2 accounts on Instagram, one for my sort of acting and modeling and one for my books. So those are sort of the key takeaways. I experimented with some ads on Facebook for a while, which led to a whole lot of people commenting that my novels were basically Blade with a white guy, and it was sort of like, I could respond to this, but I'm not going to. But I really want to, but I'm not going to.
Do it.
No, it got to the point where I'm like, all right, you've clearly never read anything.
Bob wants you to go through because that is his defining thing.
What's that? Flame wars on the internet?
Oh my God! Nobody can tear apart an asshole commenter on an ad like Robert Bevan can.
Oh, thank you.
He is elevated, basically just cutting somebody down to their raw elements to an art form. And it's also really cool to see, because here's the thing. What do you see 99.9% of the time? Don't respond to your detractors. Don't do this, because a lot of authors have done that and have gone down in flames because the public is quick to jump on you.
Right.
But there's that, every so often you come across somebody who's able to do what nobody else can and just make it stand out.
We will live vicariously through them.
And then I screenshot it and post it.
Yeah, well, you have to. You got to preserve that for posterity. Absolutely.
And I've seen people do the really awesome, like paperback shoots, and it makes me feel horrible because usually, like when I do a paperback shoot, it's like, okay, I'm going to throw it on the table, snap my phone there, it's done.
I horrified my son last night because he's really big into photography, and I brought all of the Lawson books that have come out in paperback into his room, and I said, I need to do an Instagram post. Do you have anything? Because he's forever criticizing my Instagram. It's like, you have no theme, your color codes are all wrong. I'm like, I don't know what the hell any of this. Just trying to sell a damn book.
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you do on Instagram as an author? I just started Instagram last year, but I've just been doing, goofy RPG memes and stuff, but and that's been working for me. But I mean, as an author, you say you put a lot of book covers up. I mean, eventually that's got to run dry, right?
It does. So I'll post, I'll open the book up and post a picture of a page, give people a sample of the book. I think your idea about posting memes every once in a while is probably a good thing, a nice way to break up the flow.
Every once in a while.
Every day. Every damn day.
You have memes. I have pictures of my dogs.
I was gonna say, I posted a picture with my antisocial, awful feline cat that just is probably a grumpy old human reborn into a cat's body, but whatever. We'll get into that another time. But it did pretty well. I posted him next to one of the books and Cats of Instagram kind of thing, and it got a lot of likes. So
that's super smart, because that's the same thing. It's like, I'll share a post about, hey, this new book you've been waiting for is out. Crickets. Here's a post of my dog drooling on me. 5,000 shares. Okay.
5,000 likes. Yeah.
So note to self, here's a picture of my dog drooling on me with my book in his mouth.
Yes. See, so I have two cats, and Dexter is the all white one who's the grumpy son of a bitch. And then Desmond has this bad habit because he was the runt of his litter. And every time he gets fed, he just sucks it all down and then promptly vomits everywhere. So if I can time the vomiting to getting it near the book, I think I might have a viral sensation going on, and just try to video that, because the bazooka barfing is it's compelling. It really is.
That would be great. It's like, God damn it, another 1-star review.
Pretty much.
You could get a good boomerang of that.
Yes. Just the whole convulsing.
And then just sucks it back up.
I don't want to seem argumentative here, but all right, so you post a picture of your book with your cat, hashtag Cats of Instagram. Why do all these do all these people who are looking up Cats of Instagram care about your books?
I don't know.
Like I said, I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably so one of the things that I did is I use Linktree. So in the bio section of your Instagram account, where you can put a website address in. For the longest time, I just had my bit.ly /JFM Kindle that was it would just shoot over to my ebook page on Amazon. With Linktree, which is a free service, they have a paid option as well, but their free service is fine. You can actually set up a number of links, and then you'll get a Linktree link that you can use on Instagram, and that will send them to a new page that you can sort of differentiate your links on. So I noticed that some authors were actually doing that. So I started doing that. So that may be, depending on what you put on the Linktree page, that may be an easier way to quantify whether what you're posting is having any impact. Because if they use, a certain link, you can see the hits on that and see if they correlate to increased sales or not.
Good tip.
But there's also something to be said about, just getting eyeballs that might otherwise not see it. I mean, right, we all use urban fantasy, all sorts of shit. But then I look and I'm like, something. There's 9 million people posting on Pitbulls of Instagram.
Right. And that's my philosophy about Twitter as well. I'm pretty relentless on Twitter of just posting pictures, and it's sort of like I'm just going to keep posting this shit until you people buy a fucking book, because it's just, come on. Here it is. Here's another one. Come on, let's get it. Like eventually, hopefully, somebody looks up hashtag Friday Reads and goes, all right, I need a book this weekend. Damn it, there's nothing on Netflix. So maybe they take a chance, or I'll hit them with the Kindle Unlimited thing, where if you've got Kindle Unlimited, you can read everything I have for free. It's not really free, but I mean,
right.
It helps.
One thing I've been doing myself lately that's free that I completely overlooked, because I was doing this sort of rapid release thing for like last year. I think I put 10 books out in a series, and that was stupid. But I was releasing so frequently that I had forgotten to update the back matter. So so just going through, and hopefully this helps someone, but just going through and taking, the last book in the series and adding that link immediately after the end to the next book in the series. I've seen my read through has just skyrocketed. I'm like, oh, I'm such a fucking idiot. Like I should have done this sooner. I
started doing that this year, Claire, just getting smarter about my back matter. So it's like right after the end, you can go to the next book, but there's also like right after that, a quick note about joining my mailing list. And it's like read through, you can kind of assume, but like you never get hard data. But I mean, I'm looking at my mailing list, and I mean, my signups have gone up like 5 times just by doing that.
Yeah, my reader links have shown me a lot of click through lately, and my page reads and conversion have gone up, and it's just one of those things that's so easy to overlook when you're putting out a bunch of books.
Oh, absolutely, and it takes some time too. That's the other thing. If you have a large backlist, for example, you're going to be, I don't know if you guys use Vellum or not. I mean, I love Vellum myself. Yes. I think it's awesome. But even using that, it takes some time, and then you got to re-upload and this, that, and the other thing. So
it's worse. I've been using Kindle Create because I kind of actually like the Kindle books it creates. But the problem is it doesn't support links. So every time I go to update my back matter, I essentially have to start the book from scratch, which I know I'm like, something, and I've been writing the Kindle team. I'm like, guys, I like your tool, but something, if you want to save me like, I don't know, maybe 12 hours every time I update put out a new book, add just link support.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how you do that. How you put up with that shit?
I do it by gritting my teeth and just getting angry at and just writing another revenge line in my manifesto there.
So speaking of newsletters, I actually got rid of my newsletter. So talk about contrarian type idea.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, we'll see if it pays off. My open rate on my newsletter was really horrible, and I tried any number of solutions to improve it. I was literally emailing people individually on my newsletter list saying, are you receiving my newsletters? Because you haven't opened the last 6 issues. And, I'm just really busy. And, and then there were some that were ending up in spam mailboxes. And I contacted, my email provider about that. And there was all this stuff I was supposed to jump through. And I did all that. And the numbers still didn't improve. And I was flushing, $15 a month down the tubes. And it didn't seem to be paying off the way it was supposed to be paying off. So I made an announcement on my newsletter, and I said, listen, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do a text letter where if you feel like sharing your cell phone number with me, I'll send you a quick text when I have news, and we'll go from there. Because this newsletter thing, you've got, I don't know how many thousands of people are on it, and there's like 200 of you that are opening my newsletter.
I saw that on your website, and I saw like the text letter, and I was just like, okay, this is his cutesy name for his newsletter.
Yeah, no, it's a cell phone text letter. And so I just started implementing that within the last few months, and I've definitely seen a difference. It's more immediate. So this month, because I had a lot of news, what I did is I emailed everybody individually with basically the same message but personalized, and then I actually sent them a text and said, listen, this month I've got a lot of news, so I just emailed you. I hope that's okay. And I get basically about 100% response rate to what I'm doing now. Now, granted, I don't have several thousand people on this list, but I've got a couple of really diehard, a couple hundred really diehard fans that really like what I do and like what I write, and it has seemed, at least thus far, and this is still obviously in its infancy, to be paying off in terms of just reader interaction. So hopefully, the numbers will bear that out.
I think that's an awesome idea. So I'm gonna have to ask: are you you can't be doing this by hand?
Yeah, because so I tried using an automated version and they screwed it up and they sent they didn't it would be BCC if you were emailing it, but basically they texted everybody, so everybody kept getting everybody else's responses to the text.
Wow.
So that was an inauspicious beginning. So I said, "Fuck it, I'll just do it myself," and that's what I've been doing since. Now I've only sent it out 2 or 3 times since then, but everybody was pretty cool about it. So yeah. So contrarian idea, but I like to think outside the box, and the newsletter it wasn't paying off for me. And I know it's a holy grail of marketing when it comes to, being a self-publisher, an indie publisher, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it just wasn't working. And it was so frustrating to send out a newsletter and look at my open rates on my newsletter provider and go, "Oh, good, there's 50 people. That's fucking great."
I think this is awesome. I mean, as long as people are signing up, they're basically saying, "Hey, we're opting in. You have that record." Yep. I think that's cool because I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, how many emails do I get a day that it's like, okay, select all, delete, versus I get a text and. Yeah, I mean, even if it's a spam text, it gets an eyeball before deleting it. But I mean,
yeah, and I think that the important part of having an email list isn't necessarily email, but just having your own platform. And if you can get through to people even better and still own your platform with the text messaging, then you've actually just improved it. Yeah,
it's been so the text that I sent them this month. I said, "Hi, Andy, it's author John F. Merz. I just sent you a quick email this month because I have a bunch of stuff that wouldn't all fit in the text. I hope that's okay. Have a great day." Just quick on the text, and then hopefully they go to their email box, and if it's gotten caught or something like that, they actually make a concerted effort to actually find it and read it. And it's been paying, it seems to be paying off in terms of, reader interaction. And now it's just a matter of, does it pay off where it counts, in the wallet, sort of thing.
Let me ask, because one downside comes to mind. Do you have weirdos calling your cell phone now?
No, actually, and when I made the announcement in the newsletter and people started signing up, there was sort of this, okay, this is going to be on the honor system, because if I start getting weird shit from people, I'm blocking you, and vice versa. I said, I'm not going to be texting you Saturday night after I've had a couple of cocktails in me. Help me talk to Bob because he liked my book the last time, kind of thing. What do you like about vampires?
No offense, if we meet in person, John, it is going to be our mission to get you piss ass drunk and just get you doing that.
Challenge accepted.
So I've heard through the grapevine that there's a way to do that through Twitter, but I haven't set it up yet. Have you heard of that?
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah, there's some way you can get people to follow a specific account. If you text 40404 to I don't know if y'all have ever signed up for alerts through that. That's actually to Twitter. And so then every time someone tweets from that account, it goes directly to your phone as a text message. This is all stuff I've heard, but I'd be really interested in someone else trying it and telling me how it works.
Yeah, I might be game for that. I'm usually the first person off the cliff, so it's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that is really cool. I mean, that seems to break through the whole concept of spam. Now I'm afraid if if enough people start listening to Splam, that's suddenly out of nowhere, the indie author community will have single-handedly destroyed the text message industry.
That's the problem. Well, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's like you find something that works for a little while, and then something changes. You're like, God damn it! Now I got to find something else to do. But we're writers, so we're infinitely creative. So I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, it makes it extra exciting when you're first in.
Yes, it does. It's also very scary being first through the door.
Yeah.
You take all the bullets.
Yeah, you take all the bullets, and somebody else is gonna is gonna put it in a master class that they charge people like, $500 for. And
Oh, please. Oh, my God. Yeah, I know. I fully expect to see that. And I'm like, I heard John Merz did that. Yeah, no, he didn't. I came up with the first. Okay.
And if you're listening, readers, Rick will tear his next masterclass on.
Yes, just $8,000.
Oh, that is super fascinating. So, what's on the horizon? What's coming up in your on your schedule? I know you said you're doing a lot of screenplay stuff, but you also said you wanted to get back into your schedule.
Yep.
So, what's the next couple months look like for you?
So I'm sort of reworking my daily schedule so that I have a fiction block of writing, sort of a nonfiction block of writing, because I'm actually going to be bringing out a nonfiction book as well, just sort of based on some techniques. I don't want to go too much into it right now and let the cat out of the bag, but from my military and government days that I think would be interesting and applicable to the world today, so to speak. So I'm going to be bringing out a nonfiction book on that as well, and then the screenwriting as well. So yeah, hopefully within the next week or so, I'll be getting back into. I've started a new Lawson adventure. That'll be, God, I don't even know, number 36, I think, in that series.
Should make it onto your Wikipedia page sometime in the next century.
If anybody out there knows how to edit a Wikipedia page, please reach out to John Merz and help me get that page updated, because all my Rogue Angel books, I don't even know if they're listed out there or not, but there's a bunch of stuff that's missing from there. But I'll get it sorted. I tried to do it myself, and I got slapped down by Wikipedia. They're like, you can't edit your own page.
You don't know what you're talking about yourself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was like, none of the acting, none of all that fun, happy horse shit. So
where can people find you online?
I am at johnfmerz.net, JONFMERZ.net, and on Instagram I'm at John F. Merz Official and John F. Merz Books. And I'm over on Facebook too at John F. Merz Fans, although I don't know, Facebook, I kind of have a hate relationship with that place. It's just, pay to boost this post, it's like, God, no, I'm not paying again, to pay. Honest to God.
And Facebook loves to send, your post is doing 90%. I put up a post a couple of months back that said, I really hate it when Facebook asks me to boost my fucking posts. And 5 minutes later, I get a message from Facebook. Your post about hating boosting fucking posts is doing better than 90% of.
Oh, I love those. Those are amazing. Like, here's my ingrown toenail. Congratulations. The other one I like is when it's like, hey, it's Herbie from Facebook. I want to set up an appointment with you to talk about how to boost your posts. It's just going to come. Like, I've got time on my schedule next week. Let's hook up.
All right, I got one for you, because like Splam is complete. We do this completely unscripted and stuff, and I think I might start using this going forward.
Can you tell?
Shh, don't give him a peek behind the curtain, Rick.
So, is there anything interesting, awesome, or the opposite of those about you and about your works that we did not touch upon that you think would be a cool thing to share?
I smell really good. No, I'm kidding. No, honestly, I'm pretty much a what you see is what you is what you get. I've been told that I'm pretty blunt, and that's true. I think that kind of carries over into my writing with Lawson, especially. He doesn't tolerate a lot of foolish bullshit, and I'm kind of the same way. I'm like the nicest person you'll ever meet, even though if you talk to my enemies, they'll probably tell you that I'm the worst person that you'd ever meet. But if I have a wicked sense of humor, and I'm fairly sarcastic, and I like a good drink and a good meal, and I like people that are genuine and sincere. So I kind of try to write that way. So yeah,
I need enemies.
Your enemies are terrified of you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I'll comment on that. But
all right. Well, we got anything else for John today?
Man, I could go hours picking his brain about his production companies and whatever, but that's a different podcast.
I'm always happy to talk about anything. for sure. But give me some time, because I have to try to make it work first of all before I come back, because otherwise I'll just be sitting here going, well, hopefully it's going to be amazing. Hopefully. And we've got hopefully a lot of meetings lined up. Hopefully.
Don't come back till you're successful.
Exactly. It'll be.
Well, I mean, that kind of stuff is just fascinating for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Newt said, they mostly come out at night, mostly. So hopefully I'll be back. Hopefully. Yeah.
No, I think that I agree with Bob. I think that stuff is fascinating for a lot of us. I think very as fascinating it is. Very few of us are ever gonna take that step and actually do it. So the very fact that you're doing it, I think just speaks volumes.
I'm a big old nerd. I mean, I grew up. Star Wars was like groundbreaking for me. I remember seeing it when I was born in '69, so I don't know how. 8 years old, 7 years old, and then it was, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it just set my mind on fire. I wouldn't be a writer today if it wasn't for George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and then writers like Tolkien and Dashiell Hammett and stuff like that. I was the kid in school who would come back from summer vacation, and my English teacher would say, "Okay, what books did you read on the reading list?" And I'd say, "Absolutely none of them." But I read Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, Mickey Spillane, and all right, just write a report on one of those. So I owe those folks just such a debt of gratitude. It's ridiculous. So I think it's sort of that childhood fantasy of I want to walk into a movie theater and see something that I created up on that screen and just sort of try to lose myself in the whole wonder of it all, because I'm just a big kid at heart. I think most of us who are writers are that same kid that was either struck by a book or a TV show or a movie or something they heard on the radio and thought to themselves, maybe one day I can do that. And I think that's the great thing about where we're at right now with the self-publishing movement is that we can be that, and it's pretty exciting.
I was going to say, and every writer wants to see their stuff on the screen, but it's another thing to say, fuck it, I'm just going to go out and do it myself, and that's great on its own merit. But I enjoy like various creative processes, and when the writing isn't scratching the itch, I'm sure there's other avenues like involved in production that I'd enjoy. Like I did the I Am a Bard video. That's a small scale thing, but I was really proud of that. I got a guy to sing the song. I got a guy to draw some pictures. I made a slideshow. It was like, I felt like fucking hell. I'm Captain Hollywood.
Yeah, but you're doing it, like you said. It takes the courage to just say, fuck it, I'm just going to try to do it. Why not? Nothing. What's been changed in this world? Based on people sitting back going, yeah, okay, I'll just let somebody else do that.
Yeah, we live in a really good time for this too.
I think we do. I think it's a great time.
The Netflix stuff and everything. I feel like screen entertainment is like, I don't know, kind of having something similar to the indie writer revolution.
Definitely.
Yeah, I get the idea that it's just going to take one or two indies making it big, like in that on screen. Their stories getting on screen before everyone has a taste for it and just is like hankering for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even the way we consume, as we were talking about earlier, how we consume entertainment these days. I mean, it's so different. There's no water bubble or did you see the episode last night? Now everybody's like, don't talk to me for an entire weekend. I'm going to go watch 72 hours of TV. See you later.
Yeah, but no, I think that's a good point there. I mean, like recently Apple, introduced their streaming service, and they just touted out all the big names. But I'm like, I just binge watched a shitload of Netflix shows with people I wouldn't know on the street, but they were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the old way of, we need to buy up all the shows, so we've got the best shows. That doesn't work when everybody starts doing that. So now everybody's going, you know what we need to do? We need to commission new stuff. And that's pretty exciting.
It seems like every day you hear about something new or somebody else is getting into the content delivery business or the content creation business. So, again, and I think given the nature of the world that we're living in right now, escapism is all the more important than it ever has been. I mean, seriously, as fiction writers, I don't know about you guys, but I've literally stopped watching the news sometimes because it's like I got nothing after watching that fucking newscast. I got nothing. I got up my game, to try to keep up with this shit. It's crazy.
As someone who writes satire, my job is seeming a little bit useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't stop, please.
I can't out crazy it. It's impossible.
I can only imagine how many post-apocalyptic writers have have just opened up and just gone through their works in progress and just be delete.
I thought you were gonna say have opened up their wrist.
That comes after delete.
Let's see. I had that post-apocalyptic, giant chickens take over the world. Nope, not even fringe-worthy enough anymore.
No.
I mean, it's great.
I just saw, speaking of Wikipedia, someone had gone in and changed the entry for water to past tense, so it just sounded really post-apocalyptic. So it's talking about water, how it existed before.
Before Flint, before all the plastic garbage in the Pacific. It's all good.
Yeah, it used to be vital to human life.
Now we've learned to subside on half-truths and lies. Congratulations.
Yeah, more and more with this face, Mike Judge and Idiocracy is starting to look more like Nostradamus.
Oh my God, right? Yeah, it'll be on the History Channel in 500 years. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was.
Yeah, there was a 10-year or 15-year or whatever anniversary screening recently, and we all went and watched it, at Alamo Drafthouse, and it was very depressing. It was a very subdued tone watching that.
Everybody walks out going, well, that was a kick to the balls.
Yeah, it's been over an hour, and I got to pee, so thanks for coming on the show, John.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was great talking to y'all.
Go out there and succeed so we can get you back on here.
Well, hopefully we all succeed and we can all learn from each other.
Or go out there and succeed and just don't answer our calls.
Who are you guys? And you are who?
You got it on the ground floor of Splam. You owe us everything.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for being on.
Cheers, man.